Tonight on CTV News at 6, water crisis in Kashechewan.
There's supposed to be a backwater valve or check valve on there that appears to have failed.
Indigenous leaders are calling on the federal government to visit the community. It's about improving patient care.
The Ministry of Health reports in and says, we've heard you that Northern Ontario and rural Ontario need additional funds.
2 hospitals in the Nipissing district are getting more money and brightening things up.
To have your artwork adopted into a public art collection or a public health space like this is a huge opportunity that usually only happens for mid-career and professional artists.
Artists are bringing a little color to the walls of Sault Area Hospital.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Kashechewan First Nation is in the middle of a water crisis and wants the federal government to relocate the community. In a CTV exclusive, Lydia Chubak was invited to the community yesterday to get a look at the water plant and talk with Indigenous leaders.
The evacuation of hundreds of Kashechewan's members continued this week. A failure with the community's sewage system caused the need for the measure.
Back in December 18th, that's when the waterworks people notify us there's something wrong with that pump.
We replaced the pump, put it back in service, and got it operational.
But it was too late. Sewage had backed up into the water supply.
There's supposed to be a backwater valve or check valve on there that appears to have failed.
Indigenous Services Canada issued a do not consume water advisory January 5th. Because this isn't the first time Kashechewan's water system has failed. The chief launched evacuations, and so far around half of the community's 2,500 members have left.
I think this was a shocker to everybody because we had no clue as to what happened way back in December.
The sewage pump's malfunction caused other issues. Wastewater backed up into the nursing station, forcing healthcare workers to relocate and operate from the elementary school. The grade 4 classroom, now the ER. Some fire hydrants froze and crews have to heat them with a propane torch and add salt to maintain them. The high school sprinkler system also froze, causing water damage. And the water plant's heating system is also broken. This generator supplies the warmth. It's all too much for the community's chief to manage on his own.
I could just sense his frustration and the heavy load that he must be carrying on his shoulders, and that's why I wanted to be here today.
Chief Wesley says last spring the community was given $1.7 million to address some infrastructure issues. Work was underway, but he says while waiting for parts and the sewage pump to come in, the system failed.
Having spare pumps on site would have definitely helped, because it could have been an instant resolve to the problem and prevented the backup.
We're not driving down to the city center, pick up a new part and install it, or the heater that's not working right here off to the hardware store to buy the part. It doesn't work like that. And so, the challenge is that communities left with coordinating all of this material coming in, finding the expertise to do it. Many of our communities face that, and sadly, what we've seen here in Kashechewan is a result of that.
As the community works to repair damages, Indigenous leaders are calling government leaders to visit Kashechewan.
If they're waiting for a good time or when things are calm, for them to be here, they will never be here. They just need to show up.
No one has met the chief in person yet, but when that happens, he'll also be asking for an update on the agreement signed in 2019 to get the community relocated out of the flood-prone area.
Since that time, there's been very little action from Ontario and Canada to actually implement that agreement.
As the sun goes down on this day in Kashechewan, Indigenous leaders ask all Canadians to stand with them as they continue their fight.
Stand with my children, to stand with my babies, and to stand with the elders, and to stand with my membership. That's my hope as we fight to get a better community.
Kashechewan is located on the banks of the Albany River, which flows north into James Bay. In a matter of weeks, the threat of spring flooding will be added to the long list of problems. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Kashechewan.
And in an email to CTV News, Indigenous Services Canada says at this time there's been no reportable E. coli confirmed in patient testing samples. However, tests remain ongoing. A company wanting to create a solid and hazardous waste facility in the greater Sudbury community of Conniston faced questions from residents. That's after the city's planning committee deferred its decision to rezone the property owned by Green for Life Environmental. CTV's Madison Merrier has more.
The meeting started with a presentation but quickly turned into audience members seeking answers to their concerns.
Come off of the Conniston Hydro Road and come up the back.
It's mostly the traffic, the added amount of traffic coming into Conniston, leaving Conniston, and in a community that seems very ill-adapted to heavy industrial traffic.
GFL has waste permissions from the province and is now seeking zoning approval from the City of Greater Sudbury. It requires an official plan amendment to continue processing and transferring the hazardous and non-hazardous waste. Residents' concerns include an increase in traffic, road safety, and the title of hazardous waste.
We really didn't hear it from the city. There wasn't enough notice provided to us by the city, and in the end, it's ultimately going to be the city who makes this decision.
We're not the municipality. We're certainly just business owners operating here within the community and specifically within the industrial park. But from us, it's here listening, hearing the concerns, also having a different perspective on it.
The councillor from the Conniston ward says she'll be making some inquiries about short-term and long-term solutions to traffic concerns.
Is there an alternative route that can be looked at to getting the truck traffic out of the residential areas? It's not a quick fix, it's a longer term fix, but I think that's something that we as a city and the municipality can be looking at in the long term.
The zoning classification ignited some historical distrust.
We're so aware and so in tune to what we've done to Mother Nature, to our earth. We're never going to let it happen again. We've recovered and we've rebounded. But, you know, when they say M3 heavy industrial, that should be a deterrent for a company to come here because, boy, we are on guard.
Some concerns still remain regarding traffic in an already busy community. However, GFL apologized for previous miscommunication and clarified on average there'll be 30 trucks in and 30 trucks out. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Conniston.
More money for hospitals in the Nipissing district, but as CTV's Eric Tashner tells us, the funding won't change recent decisions of job layoffs at the North Bay Regional Health Centre.
All hospitals are expected to be fiscally accountable.
The CEO of the North Bay Regional Health Centre is relieved more provincial money is on the way. There's $10.7 million for the health centre and $500,000 for the Mattawa Hospital in base funding, trumpeted by Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli.
The Ministry of Health reports in and says, we've heard you that Northern Ontario and rural Ontario need additional funds.
The money for North Bay is an add-on to $15 million announced last month. The hospital's budget is around $330 million each year, while Fideli maintains it's
all designed to help the patients.
CUPE, the union that represents 1,000 hospital workers, doesn't see it that way.
In the long run, it's not going to shorten wait times. It's not going to get more staff on the unit for providing care.
The hospital says it's trying to find the right balance between running a business and operating as a vital healthcare link, acknowledging ongoing challenges it faces in its emergency department.
Emergency physicians, we're recruiting as hard as we can, as far afield as we can, and we are starting to see some successes.
When it comes to the previously announced 40 job cuts, which have been heavily criticized by union leaders, Heinrich promises those cuts won't impact patient care.
We've just improved the way we deliver it.
New figures from the union show staff mental health claims have skyrocketed by nearly 85% between October 2024 and September 2025.
The shortages in the hospital is causing very real strain on our members, and they continue to show up to work to provide the best care that they can.
According to its website, there are currently over 100 vacant positions at the North Bay Regional Health Centre. The union says the impact of 40 job eliminations remains unknown.
In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have more clarity as to whether anyone will end up indeed unemployed.
The hospital anticipates the number of staff members impacted could be much lower based on these new positions, retirements, attrition, and job transition. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Now it's time for our first check on weather. It's still a cold one out there, but when are the temperatures going to move forward? To tell us more, here's CTV's Amanda Hicks filling in for Rick Wyman.
Thanks, Tony. Well, the good news is we are going to see some warmer temperatures this weekend. And when I say that, I don't mean balmy conditions. I don't mean break out the shorts quite yet. It is still going to be cold, all things considering, but it's not going to be like how it was this week. -6 for most areas tomorrow. Feeling a little bit colder than that with the wind chill, but the bad news is it's short-lived. And a quick weather alert for you. We do have a snowfall warning in effect for the areas in yellow behind me here. 15 centimeters of snow expected by tomorrow morning, so take care if you're heading out and about. I'll have more details on the weather forecast coming up a bit later on. Tony.
Thanks so much for that, Amanda. A report heading to a Greater Sudbury committee next week says repairing thousands of damaged monuments at the municipal cemetery would cost more than $8 million. That's compared to the $53,000 in the budget for repairing headstones at all 18 municipal cemeteries in the city, while families of people interred in the cemetery are responsible for maintaining the grave sites. Many of the burials date back more than a century, making it a huge challenge to contact those families. The cemetery opened in 1884 and moved twice before settling on LaSalle Boulevard in 1910. Heart Hub, still to come on CTV News at 6. A homeless and addiction treatment facility to help Indigenous peoples. First, though, let's head to Parry Sound and the town dock. This live webcam is courtesy of Northern Creations. It's -8 degrees without the wind chill. We are back in a few minutes.
Fuel your Fridays with CTV and Pure Country. Enter online for a chance to win a $100 gas gift card. Fuel your Fridays. Powered by CAA. Life isn't one size fits all. Neither is CAA.
And the winner this week of Fuel Your Fridays is Stacy Meeville. Greater Sudbury Fire Services has changed its mind, allowing a burn barrel at Energy Court, an encampment site. It's also the location where a tent fire and death occurred earlier this week. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
Marielle Lemieux gets warmed by this burn barrel in Energy Court.
It's a lifesaver for some people. Me as well. Right now it's better than standing in the cold.
As of Wednesday, Greater Sudbury Fire Services made an exception to allow the burn barrel to burn 24/7 for warmth at this site. The change comes as officials continue their investigation into the death of a woman following a tent fire on Monday night.
This concern was brought up prior to the fatality, and it was in the works of looking to get it approved. We did have to mitigate some risk that was involved with having an open fire 24 hours a day there.
Moline says the approved burn barrel is monitored by video surveillance.
So some of those risks have been mitigated through surveillance, through bylaw, as they are able to, through video surveillance, they're able to monitor the fire and determine that if it gets out of control, then suppression crews will be called to come and mitigate that risk.
Back at the barrel, Lemieux says it's been a tough week for people at Energy Court. From the tent fire and death to plunging temperatures and more snow.
I think people are like kind of in a cold numb, you know what I mean? What else do you do? Like keep warm by a fire or in there and wait for somebody to help?
Greater Sudbury Fire Services says the city is supplying the wood for the burn barrel. This is to ensure it's clean, dry wood to prevent people gathering around it from inhaling toxins. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
The clock is ticking on a possible strike by faculty at Laurentian University in Sudbury. Today, students and teachers gathered for a demonstration in support of the right to bargain freely and fairly. CTV's Lindsay Alick has more.
Noisemakers fill Laurentian University's Parker Atrium.
I'm actually shocked to see how many people came out. I knew I had a lot of my peers behind me, but it's been really great. The faculty have been amazing, and we're all just really optimistic over what can happen over the weekend.
Holmes organized the event, which aims to call on the administration and Board of Governors to engage in transparent and equitable negotiations with LUFA. She is a fourth-year student and dreams of becoming a teacher one day herself.
Even when I was in high school, I was a big supporter of our teachers' rights and rights to collective bargaining, and I think it's really important for us to stand up as a community for our teachers because they're really the cornerstone of our community. So I think it's really important to stand up for what's right.
According to officials with the university, over the weekend, negotiations will be overseen by a mediator. In the event of a strike, the post-secondary institution says in a statement, the campus will remain open. Classes, labs, seminars, and other activities led by faculty members and instructors, both online and in person, would stop temporarily. Activities led by university staff will continue, including most student services. Most courses offered by the Center for Teaching and Continuing Learning will still be offered. University officials continue saying, in part, we will provide an update via email as soon as possible before Monday morning, noting that negotiations may continue late into Sunday evening. The university remains dedicated to negotiating in good faith to find an agreement that is fair to LUFA members while protecting the long-term financial sustainability of the university. Members plan to withhold their services and begin a strike as of January 19th at 12:01 a.m. if an agreement cannot be reached by then. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
The province's first Indigenous-led Heart Hub is now up and running along the North Shore. The Homeless and Addiction Recovery Treatment Hub is operated by Momwaziying North Shore Community Health Services. Locations are in Blind River, Sagamuk, Anishinaabeg, and the Indigenous Friendship Center in Sault Ste. Marie. They provide services such as substance use treatment, supportive housing, and mental health case management. Heart Hub officials say this model will help address gaps in the system for Indigenous clients.
It can be challenging for folks to feel like maybe they don't belong in those spaces. So to have a space specifically designed for them, you know, coming from our community with our local knowledge holders and our elders, it's something that, you know, they'll be able to feel comfortable in and respected in and, you know, just feel valued and seen and heard.
Officials say they are still looking to hire a range of employees across their sites to offer services. Back now for a check on your current conditions. Once again, here's Amanda.
Thanks for that, Tony. We have some flurry activity across the region for your Friday night, continuing into tomorrow, and then temperatures start to change by the time Sunday hits around. As for today, though, we saw between highs of -14 to -5 degrees, depending on where you are, but obviously it felt a lot colder than that stepping outside your door this morning. But let's take a look at the current conditions. Let's see how things are shaping up as we head into your Friday night. So for Moosonee, -24. It's still cold out there, clear skies, light snow falling in Cochrane, light snow falling in Timmins as well, while we're seeing some cloudy skies in Kapuskasing between -24 to -14 in those regions there. And trying to move over to the next board here, but it is not going for me. All right, well, it appears that my system is failing me, Tony, but that was a brief look at the current conditions. Going to send it back to you for now.
Thanks so much for that, Amanda. Global trade moves further from the U.S. Next on CTV News at 6, Canada strikes a tariff deal with China. What are we getting and what are we giving up? And the federal government loses its appeal on the Emergencies Act.
Abused for years by a monster.
Why isn't anybody coming?
Behind the worst mass killing in Canadian history.
As soon as he said it's too late, I thought I need help.
Sunday night, right after the game on CTV and Crave.
Mark Carney is hailing his new trade deal with China as a landmark strategic partnership, one that sets Canada up for what he calls the New World Order. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the details.
The stalls at Beijing's busy food markets will soon be filled with more Canadian lobster, seafood and canola products after Canada and China signed what the Prime Minister is calling a landmark trade agreement.
We're building a web of new connections with China.
to create transformative opportunities for Canadian workers, build more stability, more certainty and prosperity on both sides of the Pacific.
As part of that deal, China will remove all existing tariffs on Canadian canola meal, lobsters, crab, and peas until at least the end of the year, and permanently reduce its tariff on canola seed to 15%. The tariffs on canola oil and pork will remain.
If you're a canola farmer, you're probably cautiously optimistic that something's going to come from this because we don't know the full details. But if you're a Canadian auto worker, this is devastating news because they know that this is going to undercut North American produced vehicles.
In exchange, Canada will let 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada, essentially tariff-free, increasing that amount every year after. By 2030, half of those EVs should cost a maximum of $35,000.
We need to look at this in the context of building. I mean, we're building a new part of our car industry. Building cars of the future in partnership.
The new trade pact that encourages Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector was announced hours after Carney shook hands with the Chinese president, closing the deal on a 5-pillar strategic partnership meant to tear down trade barriers and forge new ties in areas from finance to energy and tourism.
A healthy and stable China-Canada relationship serves the common interests of our two countries. It is also good for the peace, stability, and prosperity of the world.
The Prime Minister says concerns about foreign interference and human rights were brought up in his private meeting with Xi Jinping. He leaves Beijing tomorrow for Qatar, where he will once again try to drum up business investment. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Beijing, China.
But not everyone is happy with the agreement. Ontario Premier Doug Ford arguing the EV deal could have a detrimental impact on the country's auto sector and result in job losses. CTV's Siobhan Morris has a reaction.
Outside Windsor's Stellantis plant, the deal with China gets mixed reviews.
I don't have an issue with it. We don't make a small car here in Canada, and we don't make a small car EV here in Canada, so I'm not sure how that has any bearing on this plant.
But there's real anxiety, too.
The worst thing is it opens the door and it's a slippery slope after this. It was a big mistake, in my opinion.
An opinion shared by the provincial government.
That is a horrific mistake.
The Premier calls the trade agreement lopsided, a mess.
It's going to hurt every single auto manufacturer, every single supply chain that has anything to do with the auto sector. This was not thought out properly. It wasn't consulted. It was a knee-jerk reaction as far as I'm concerned.
The opposition accuses the Premier of not doing enough to muscle into the conversation.
What it means, I think, for our auto industry is the death knell. I'm very, very deeply concerned about it.
Some industry players are willing to wait and see.
This is one of those days that is the one step back of the 2 steps forward.
There are concerns about how allowing Chinese EVs into the Canadian market might factor into trade negotiations with the U.S. The union, representing thousands of Ontario auto workers, not calmed by the fact that Chinese cars would represent just 3% of the vehicles sold in Canada.
Of course it's going to grow. It's grown everywhere where China has had a foothold. Look at Europe, look at Brazil.
There are calls from the Premier, Unifor, and manufacturers for a comprehensive federal auto policy that supports jobs and resolves unanswered questions.
Like the electric vehicle mandate, amongst other things, that we have no clarity on, and it makes it very difficult for our members to plan moving forward.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
And while at a North Bay news conference this morning, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Vic Fedeli, calls Canada's move to slash tariffs on electric vehicles from China a mess.
They should be focusing, instead of bringing in cars that are made with no environmental concerns, cars that are made with no employment standards, bringing those cars in here when they should be focusing on helping the Ontario car makers, the men and women who work at our auto plants, who are under stress and under duress by these tariffs. They should be working with us to make more and build more here in Ontario.
And Fedeli calls letting China into Canada's marketplace a horrific mistake. The Federal Court of Appeal has upheld a lower court ruling stating the Liberal government did not have reasonable grounds to invoke the Emergencies Act to quell the trucker convoy protests 4 years ago. For about 3 weeks in early 2022, downtown Ottawa was filled with protesters, including many large trucks that blocked streets around Parliament Hill. The Emergency Act allowed for temporary measures like regulating and banning public assemblies and a direction to freeze bank accounts. Criminologist Michael Kempa says the ruling makes it clear that the standards for invoking the Emergencies Act are incredibly high.
What it means is some people may now have grounds to bring forward more effectively lawsuits against the government. And it also will come back to the major point, which everybody has been in agreement, all the experts that have ever spoken on these matters, including at the Commission of Inquiry, and we've submitted submissions to the court, that the Emergencies Act itself is very out of date, drafted in the 1980s, and requires a total overhaul.
While many people demonstrated against COVID-19 health restrictions, the gathering attracted some with a variety of grievances against then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government. And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Amanda.
Thanks for that, Tony. We have a bit of a brief warm-up on the way for this weekend, but then we're plunged right back into those icy cool conditions. Let's get into it with the forecast radar. We're going to see a bit of snowfall throughout the Northeast throughout the course of this weekend, depending on where you are. About a little bit here and there, especially as you head into Saturday. By the time Sunday rolls around, that's when we stop seeing a lot of that flurry activity and temperatures start to change. They get a little bit colder as we head into Monday for sure. Let's take a look at the overnight boards now. We've got flurries on the way for Sudbury, -12. -13 in Timmins, -13 in Timiskaming Shores as well. Chance of flurries expected overnight, but it will feel a lot colder than that with the wind chill. Looking at Moosonee now, we've got -23 overnight, very cold there. Few clouds, some flurry activity in Wawa as well as Gore Bay, and then -5 in Parry Sound with some periods of snow. But how much snow are we going to get by the time the weekend ends? For the most part, not a whole lot depending on where you are. 13 centimeters in North Bay, 12 in Parry Sound, 6 in Algonquin Park. So you might just want to keep the shovel handy and definitely the parka ready by the time Monday rolls around. Let's get into it with the 7-day forecast, starting with Sudbury Nickel Belt. So we've got 2 centimeters of snow. For tomorrow, high of -3, a chance of flurries on Sunday, -9 flurries on Monday. Mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, high of -6, and then a chance of flurries on Wednesday. Heading over to Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, chance of flurries for tomorrow, high of -6, chance of flurries on Sunday as well. By the time Tuesday rolls around, cloud coverage -14. Very cold though for the low, -22, -18 on Wednesday, and -11 on Wednesday with some light flurry activity. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, 2 centimeters of snow for tomorrow, high of -13, -17 on Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud there, and sunshine on Tuesday as well. So that at least we're seeing a little bit of sunshine, even though it's going to be -20 that day. We'll feel a lot colder than that with the wind chill, and then by Wednesday, cloudy skies, -18. For Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, 2 to 4 centimeters for tomorrow, high of -2, chance of flurries on Sunday, stronger chance on Monday, mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, and a chance of flurries on Thursday, but we might see a few sunny breaks by the time we get closer to the weekend. And for North Bay, West Nipissing, 5 to 10 centimeters for tomorrow, high of -2. Flurries on Monday, -12, -15 on Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud, and then flurries expected on Wednesday. So for today's weather pick of the day, it was sent in by Lorraine Chenier. She sent in this beautiful sunset from Conagami. And thank you so much, Lorraine, for sending that in. What a stellar sunset. I hope to see a lot more of those in the days ahead. And there's more news coming up after this break. Stay with us.
Hockey This Week is brought to you by Rastall Nut and Bolt Company. Kraft Hockeyville is back for its 20th year with a new format that guarantees provincial and territorial winners, and its focus is on the role Northern rinks play in our communities. Now, to tell us more, I'm joined by hockey personality Paul Bissonnette, but you know him better as Biz Nasty of the podcast Spittin' Chicklets, live from Arizona.
I got a call about joining and I was over the moon about it because I've had obviously a lot of experience with them, and the fact that I also get to do it with Marc-Andre Fleury as an ambassador for their 20th year. And you already touched on it, right? The fact that they're going to be hitting all the province and territories with winners, maybe a little bit unlike years past where there's going to be a lot more winners because it's the 20th anniversary. But just incredible the amount of work that they've done over that amount of time to support local hockey communities all across Canada. More involvement that I was in is 2016, the Kraft Hockeyville game in Lumbee, BC. It was the LA Kings organization against the Edmonton Oilers. They had just drafted Connor McDavid. So we go to this small community in Canada, and all of a sudden these young kids get to see Connor McDavid coming off the bus, giving them the knuckles, and then going to put a show on the ice after they get the nice little arena upgrade from winning Kraft Hockeyville.
Okay, now you've played hockey at all levels, of course the NHL, playing in Pittsburgh, playing in Phoenix. So let's take it down to how this program affects Northern Ontario. We already had a big winner several years ago in Elliott Lake. So what about other communities that are vying for necessary upgrades?
Well, okay, so anybody listening or watching has the opportunity to make an impact. You can go and nominate whatever city or community that you want by going to crafthockeyville.ca. You answer 3 questions, and it's basically, why do you think that your community deserves this? And just the fact that some of these communities where you look at like church, the library, the ice hockey arena, especially in Canada, these are places where you create core memories throughout your community, right? So they're just looking to give back there and make the difference. And especially it being in Canada, that's what we do. We play hockey. It's our national sport.
Now, that's a lot of cash. The largest investment in Hockeyville's history. I think you topped out at $750,000 a year. That's $750,000. You've got cash going these days.
The fact that they've been doing what they've been doing as long as they have for hockey communities, and now they're going above and beyond in year 20, it's just a testament to all the people behind the scenes. Like myself and Marc-Andre Fleury are the faces and the ambassadors that are talking about it media-wise, but let's not kid ourselves. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that do way more and make the ship run. And once again, I'm just grateful to be a part of it to spread the message.
Now, viewers have until March 1st, 2026 to nominate communities by answering 3 questions at crafthockeyville.ca. Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty, my guest on Hockey This Week. We're back in 7 days with more.
Thanks, Rick. It was a busy Thursday night for Northern hockey fans, starting in the OHL, where there was a battle of the North at Bort Longyear Memorial Gardens in North Bay. Chase Coughlin found the back of the net near the end of the first period to get Sudbury on the board. Ryder Cowley, also back from the top prospects game, had 1 of 2 goals for the troops. That Coughlin goal, however, would be Sudbury's only goal. The Wolves fall on the road to the battalion. 2-1. The troops are currently second in the Central Division, while Sudbury is a distant 4th. Meanwhile, it was a big night for Greyhound Jeremy Martin. The Sioux was on the road in Sarnia. It was the Sting who ended up getting stung in the end. Sioux went on to win this one 5-2. In the OHL this evening, the North Bay Battalion march into Oshawa to take on the Generals. The Wolves will play host to the Flint Firebirds. Puck drop for both games is 7:05. Meanwhile, the Sioux Greyhounds continue their southern road swing, taking on the Guelph Storm. That game starts at 7:07. And over in the NOJHL, it was a thrashing again by the Sudbury Cubs. They faced off against the French River Rapids at the Countryside Arena and won 11-0. Nolan Newton got the first star of the game with 3 goals. This evening in the NOJHL, the Powassan Voodoos will be in Noëlville to take on the French River Rapids. The Greater Sudbury Cubs travel north to take on the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners. Both those games are 7 o'clock starts. The Iroquois Falls Storm head to Sioux, Michigan to play the Eagles, while the Timmins Rock and Hearst Lumberjacks will take the ice at the MAC tonight. That game could have standing implications if the Rock can roll over the Lumberjacks. 7:30 will be the start time on those matches, and the Blind River Beavers face off against the Espanola Paper Kings, also at 7:30. A big ringette tournament is now underway in North Bay. 34 teams from across the province are participating in the Agnes Jacks Memorial Tournament now until Sunday. Agnes was the wife of ringette founder Sam Jacks. With the construction of a new arena, ringette officials believe this will be the last chance to play at the Sam Jacks Sports Complex, also known as the West Ferris Arena. Bo Bichette's time with the Toronto Blue Jays has come to an end. He is signed with the New York Mets.
Who hits it high in the air to deep center. It is gone!
The deal is reported to be 3 years at $126 million with opt-outs after years 1 and 2. The news comes hours after the Blue Jays missed out on free agent Kyle Tucker, who signed a 4-year, $260 million deal with the Dodgers. Plenty of food still ahead on CTV News at 6. A great cause received a lot of support last night in Sudbury. Details in a few minutes. Now that the holiday season is behind us, chances are you've returned any gifts that may have missed the mark and got a refund. As well as being aware of refund rules, you should also know about price adjustment policies in case something you bought got cheaper. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
Overpaying happens more often than you think, but knowing the store's rules can help you keep more cash in your pocket. Before you shop, take a quick look at the store's price adjustment and price matching policies. These policies can let you claim the lower price even after you've checked out.
When you know a retailer's policies, it can help you navigate shopping there and getting the best discounts, the best deals possible.
So, how do they work?
When you're price matching, you're doing it before you buy. With price adjustments, it's after you've already bought something and you've seen a price drop. You can go and get an adjustment and get a partial refund.
But every retailer's policy is different. Walmart will only match a price if you're shopping in-store. See something for less on Walmart's website and request a price match in person. There are also exclusions, and Walmart doesn't match any competitors' prices. The same goes for Costco. If you buy an item and the price drops within 30 days, you can request the difference online for online purchases and in-store for in-person purchases. No matter where you shop, make sure you're comparing the prices of 2 exact items down to the color, and be sure you have proof. Receipts, ads, screenshots, or printouts of competitors' prices can often help your case. It may seem like a lot of effort, but
taking that extra few minutes to look at these policies is always going to be worth it.
If a store refuses to give you a lower price, check with your credit card. Some cards offer price protection benefits that might be able to refund you the difference. If you're returning items, some stores may not issue refunds if the product has been opened or used. They may also charge restocking fees, and for online orders, you may have to pay the shipping costs to return it. Pat Foran, CTV News.
A partnership between Sault Area Hospital and Algoma University has brought color to the sterile walls of the local cancer program. As CTV's Corey Nordstrom tells us, the new artwork aims to calm and distract those going through the difficult medical journey.
Both floors of the Algoma District Cancer Program have been transformed thanks to local university art students, alumni, and faculty.
To see the space, and before we came in, before we painted the walls, before we started hanging up the work, and the atmosphere and how people looked, their posture in the space, and then to come in after or as we were installing and see people standing up and looking at the walls and reading the text on the walls. Yeah, there's nothing as rewarding.
It also presents a rare opportunity for these students.
To have your artwork adopted into a public art collection or a public health space like this is a huge opportunity that usually only happens for mid-career and professional artists.
This marks the second collaboration between the Sault Area Hospital and Algoma University.
both for the first project and this project. It's been a welcome distraction from what a lot of patients are going through, and also just brings them a sense of comfort and calm in a challenging time.
Studies have shown the connection between artwork and positive patient outcomes in a medical setting. In order to ensure that sense of comfort and calm, artists did their research, hoping to distract, evoke memories, or inspire.
When a patient stayed a long hour waiting here, and they can look at the fall color and feel like I'm walking on the path. Maybe one day I can fully recover. I can going back to my normal life, and just a little hope bring to them. That'd be wonderful.
In 2024, the first contingent of artists from Algoma University created murals in the hospital's transitional care unit. Officials say this is a partnership that will continue going forward to bring more comforting artwork to the halls of the Sault Area Hospital. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
And movie news now. Here's David Daniel with this evening's Hollywood Report.
What happened?
You had an accident.
An accident, huh?
We dug you up, then we brought you back to life.
Hamnet star Jessie Buckley is undead and loving it. She pairs up with Christian Bale's monster in the official trailer for The Bride. They spark not only a romance, but a rampage, going Bonnie and Clyde in pursuit of social change. The Bride, written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, comes alive in theaters March 6th.
Miss Turner, one smile.
Sophie Turner has a new adventure. The Game of Thrones star is the new Lara Croft. Amazon MGM Studios released this first look of Turner in the series, which has begun production. Turner will next be seen in another Prime Video series, Steel, premiering Wednesday.
He might very well be the last of his kind.
Cate Blanchett is getting her Viking warrior back on. The Oscar-winning actress voiced Valka in the animated How to Train Your Dragon movies. Now she's set to reprise the role in the live-action How to Train Your Dragon 2, due in theaters in June of 2027. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation released numbers that show which cities had the biggest new residential growth. BNN Bloomberg's Mirella Fernandez has more.
Canadian housing starts were up 5.6% last year, with more new rental housing being built. There was a 58% increase year over year in the number of starts in Montreal. And both Calgary and Edmonton had a record number of starts in 2025. Toronto, on the other hand, saw housing starts drop 31%. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.86. West Texas Intermediate is up to 59.34. Western Canadian Select is down $2.67 to 44.84. And the TSX gained only 11 points, but enough for a new record close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Mirella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down $19.52, closing the day at $45.9643 US an ounce. Silver slipped $2.26 to end the day at $90.13. Copper down 7 cents to $5.92, and nickel fell 26 cents, ending the day at $7.79 US a pound. And Amanda's back now for one last look at your Saturday weather.
Thanks for that, Tony. To summarize, we've got a bit of snow, a bit of warmer conditions, and then back to cold. In Sudbury, -3, 2 centimeters of snow. Timmins, 2 as well. Chance of flurries in Sault Ste. Marie, -6. Heading over to the next areas here, North Bay, -2, 5 to 10 centimeters. A chance of snow in Parry Sound. And Temiskaming Shores, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow. So, Tony, the silver lining is we are gaining 2 minutes of daylight each day. That's the good news as we head into the weekend. Back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. Small victories. Some of the best food in Sudbury was available last night, all in the name of raising money for a great cause. Organizers of Taste of Sudbury had a sold-out crowd last night at the Caruso Club. Restaurants had tables around the hall and provided specific dishes. Diners had a chance to take in everything from vegan tacos to braised beef cheek. All the money raised went to inner city home of Sudbury.
I think the enthusiasm the community has to help. There's no doubt this city is on top of helping anything that needs to be helped. and I'm so proud to be a Sudburyan.
We, of course, have porchetta with hot pickled eggplant, hard giardiniera, so it's going to be a great meal for you tonight.
So from Chico's tonight, we're sampling 2 of our plant-based protein alternatives. We've got soy curls asada, and we have jackfruit carnitas.
And the money raised is going to help Inner City Home with its mandate to help its clients. And we leave you with more sights and sounds of last night's Taste of Sudbury. Good night and have a great weekend.